Hey guys, it's Madison. Welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you my full coverage flawless face foundation routine for the fall. Fall is just full of glamorous looks, so I thought it would be perfect timing to do my full coverage flawless face foundation routine. This is going to be beginner friendly, so I'm just going to be going into great depth about the products I'm using, why I love them, why they are so good, and just giving you some techniques that are helpful for foundation flawless face kind of look. So I do hope you guys enjoyed. Please do not forget to subscribe, and if you want to learn how to get this full coverage flawless face, then definitely keep on watching. So let's get started. Before I even start my foundation, I start off with a moisturizer, and I use the Clinique Dramatically Different moisturizing lotion. This is a great moisturizer, sets in the skin pretty quickly, and it just moisturizes my skin very nicely. So I did do that before I started filming long ago. So I already did that, but I do make sure that I moisturize. Even though I have oily skin, I still moisturize. It's very important to do that because it'll just make your skin look nice and healthy and plump, and just it'll give it a healthy glow. So do not forget to moisturize. And plus, if you have dry skin, you don't want moisturize clinging to any dry areas. It would just look gross. So do not forget to moisturize. Alright, so next what I do, prime the skin. So like I said, I have oily skin. I get really oily in my T-zone. So I like to go in with the Makeup Forever Step 1 Mattifying Primer. And so I'll take some of this. This is a great mattifying primer. It'll really mattify your skin. So I grab a little bit of that, and I'll just put it in my T-zone, kind of tap it in there. Okay, and definitely put some on my nose. And when I actually got this in Sephora, I swatched it, and I could like feel how, effective it was. Like I could literally feel it kind of tightening the skin, because that's what it kind of feels like. It just really tightens the skin. That's what it feels like, but I think it's just kind of mattifying it. So I'll put that all around my nose, and definitely in the forehead. I get really oily in the forehead, surprisingly, like in the upper area of my forehead, but so I really like to take care of that area right there. I'll just kind of tap this in and let that set. So now we are set for mattifying purposes. So I actually like to go in with like a smoothing primer from like not my T-zone, but I like to put it in all the other surrounding areas. And for my smoothing primer, I use the Absolute New York Flawless Face Foundation Primer. This kind of reminds me of the Smashbox. I've never really had the Smashbox, but it has that silicone gel kind of thing going on. So grab a little bit of that. It's clear. And I'll just put this on pretty much on my entire face, but I like to focus it maybe in this area a little bit, because that's just where a lot of my pores show up, and I just like to apply it down here. Alright, so this will kind of blur out my pores, and plus it'll just keep my foundation in place throughout the day. So we're going to apply it there. Alright, that's just where I like to focus the primer. I'll kind of put it in the back of the cheeks, but that's the only place where I really feel my foundation kind of starts to go ugh at the end of the day. So I like to put primer over there, but my forehead, no problem. Alright, so when I'm wanting full flawless coverage, the foundation I'll go to or just reach for is the Estee Lauder Double Wear Foundation. I absolutely love this stuff. I feel like it'd be great for a lot of different skin types. So I really like this. It has maybe more to the side of a matte finish, not so much glowy, but of course if you want that glowy finish, use a glowy and illuminating primer or highlighter or whatever. But I like to use this. It's great, and it gives you beautiful coverage. So I like to use this. I'm in the shade 1C1 Cool Bone. I just love this stuff. So didn't come with the pump, but I'll just kind of slide it down on my finger. And I really like to not use too much, because it is a full coverage foundation and I don't want to look too cakey. And when you're using a full coverage foundation, if it's full coverage anyways, you don't really need a lot of it. So we're just going to go there. I don't usually put a lot on my forehead, but That's what we'll go for now. Now to blend out my foundation, I like to use the dampened beauty blender. I love to use the beauty blender to blend out my foundation. It blends it out, makes your skin look flawless, and doesn't leave your foundation looking streaky, but really sets it into the skin and just blends it out. And so I always use it damp. It is clean, and what I'll do is I'll use the rounded side and start using like tapping motions all over my face to blend this in. Now, you could use rubbing motions, but rubbing motions like this would just make it look streaky. So, using little tapping motions will just make your skin look flawless and airbrushed. So, just gonna blend that in, and when you blend in your foundation, you want to make sure that you blend up towards the hairline, not literally in your hair, but just say your foundation shade was like the least bit off. You wouldn't want it to be very obvious, so try to just kind of blend it, bring it up towards your hairline. Now I can already tell I'm going to want to go back with a little bit more foundation, but better than too much foundation. Alright, so let's get into the forehead. You want to make sure that you really get up in the hairline there too, because that's like in the center of your face, and you know, that's what people look at you in the face. So alright, we're going to get in between the eyebrows. I'm going to just blend this stuff out. Now, usually I don't like to get a lot of foundation around the nose just because I feel like that's where I can look really, really cakey with any foundation really, so I just like to just kind of keep away. And do not forget to blend down the neck so your foundation does not make a line. That would be really bad. Even if your foundation is like the most perfect match, it can still make a line down on your neck, so you want to make sure that you just blend down. I'm not saying you have to actually apply foundation to your neck, but whatever you have left on your beauty blender, just kind of dab that and just blend it. Alright, so for concealer, I use this concealer all the time. It's the Wet n Wild Come Correct Celebrity Concealer. I've used this in so many tutorials. I cannot tell you how many times I've mentioned it, talked about it, used it in a tutorial, but this is my holy grail concealer. I use it all the time, even for everyday makeup, and it's so like $5, and it gives you like the most full coverage you could ever ask for under eye concealer. It's a great highlighting concealer. I'm in the shade Fair, so what I like to do is just place a little bit of this product on a Wet n Wild concealer brush. This concealer, I mean, it doesn't take much. It takes a little bit of product. It's very pigmented, and a little bit goes a long way. So I just like to apply this underneath my eyes with a Wet n Wild concealer brush because I don't like getting concealer all over my fingers. That just grosses me out. I don't know. Anyways, so I just apply a little bit of this. And since we already have a full coverage foundation on, I'm not going to apply it anywhere else because it is a thicker concealer. So I feel like I'm just good with applying it under my eyes. So I'm going to blend out my concealer with a damp beauty blender. And I use tapping motions under here as well, and make sure that I really get it up onto the bottom lash line so the concealer doesn't make like a really weird looking line. Now, when you choose a concealer, you want to choose a concealer that's a little bit lighter than your natural skin tone because it will kind of brighten up your eyes and just make you look alive. And if you didn't have enough sleep or anything, then a lot of concealer can really help you look like you had some sleep. And you just really want to get something a little bit lighter so it'll highlight your under eyes. If you're the kind of person that likes an under eye highlight. If you like something neutral, then just go ahead and get something that's the same shade as your foundation. But usually I like a really good under eye highlight, so I just blend, blend, blend. This concealer is a little bit thick, so it does take a little bit of extra blending, but that's okay because the results that I get with this concealer, it don't matter how much blending I have to do. I love the results it gives. Make sure you blend and that there are no lines. I kind of go downwards and just blend it in so the concealer doesn't make a line where the concealer meets the foundation. Alright, so the other eye now. We're done blending. Blending sometimes takes a while with this concealer. That's okay because we'll be looking good after this. But if you're looking for a very affordable full coverage under eye concealer, definitely check it out because this has just been my favorite. I repurchased it once. I've already went through a tube of it. but you guys really need this for $5. It ain't too shabby. Alright, so now it's time to set my concealer, and I also like to bake a little bit. So I use the Coty Airspun Loose Translucent Powder in the shade Translucent Extra Coverage. This is my Holy Grail Translucent Powder. It's amazing. Your concealer will be going nowhere throughout the day when you apply this. I do apply a very generous amount, but I really know my concealer ain't going nowhere. So if you're looking for something very inexpensive that's a good translucent powder, this is about like $7. So it's really inexpensive. So I get that, and I get my damp beauty blender, and I pick up some product on my beauty blender, and I'll apply this underneath the eyes. Now I do like to go back several times to kind of build up and grab a little bit more product, because I like a very good amount sitting underneath the eyes. And if you don't know what baking is, that's basically getting a translucent powder, applying a really great amount, and just letting it sit there for quite a few minutes. And what it's going to do is just set your concealer throughout the day, and also it's just going to highlight as well. So it's very interesting how it works. Like I said, it can highlight, and you're also setting your concealer at the same time. So you do let it sit there for quite a few minutes, and then you'll just dust it off. And it just makes your concealer look so good. Okay, I think I'm done with that eye, so I'll go. Yeah, don't worry, we don't leave this on throughout the day, but yeah, don't worry, we do not leave this on throughout the day. We just leave it there for a few minutes so the concealer can set, and the translucent powder will also give us a little bit of an under eye highlight. So next I'm going to set my foundation, and what I like to do is take a stippling brush. This is the Real Technique stippling brush, and I'm going to take my Airspun loose powder, and I'm going to grab a very, 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 very small amount of this powder, tap off the excess, and I'm just going to dust this over my face, besides the areas where we're baking. But I just like to grab a little bit of this to set my foundation so it isn't gliding around and sliding around my face throughout the day, but it'll stay in place. And this won't like make me look cakey because it's translucent. It actually just kind of makes my face look even more flawless. It adds like a softening effect over your skin. It's kind of cool how it works, but I feel it always softens the skin. So I really like to set her on the nose because I don't know about you guys, but I struggle with having my foundation slip around on my nose. But using a translucent powder to set it kind of prevents that a little bit. But I don't use a lot of powder, a very light amount. Doesn't take a lot either, and we're just wanting to lightly set it. Alright, so now I'm going to move on to contouring, and my go-to contouring palette has been the Anastasia Beverly Hills Contour Kit. This is the original contour kit, and I would actually really, really recommend this because it comes with a banana powder, 2 highlighters. The highlighters aren't that great, but I'm a person who loves a full-on, well, very, very bright highlight. But if you're a person that likes something natural, then you can definitely go with these. But the bronzers are very versatile. There's some warm and cool tone bronzers in there. But if you're wanting something for different skin shades, different skin tones and stuff, then this is really good. So I really like to use this for contouring. So I will use the shade that's on the bottom row in the center. It's a little bit more of a cool tone. Since I'm fair, I don't like to use anything with the warm undertone as a bronzer because it just makes me look, it just doesn't match up with my skin tone. So if you have fair skin, something like a bronzer that's cool tone, has a cool undertone to it, is probably best to use. But if you're someone who has a little bit of a deeper skin tone, something like a bronzer with a warm tone will probably work best for you. So for contouring, I like to use a Sephora Pro Contour number 74 brush. It's like a dome-shaped fluffy brush, and it's good for contouring, fits, and just kind of fits in my cheekbones, and just it's a perfect size to contour. So I'm going to grab some of this, and I like to start contouring, I guess right here, kind of level with the ear and go down. And I kind of do like a face, but when you do that, you can kind of feel your cheekbone, so I just kind of glide underneath it and just really chisel our cheekbones. And it depends on the intensity that you want your contour to be. I don't like anything that's like, whoa, but I like something that is just going to kind of sculpt my face. Glide underneath the cheekbones. And this just sculpts your face a little bit. I mean, I guess you don't have to contour. This is what I like to do, but I like to add a little bit of sculpting and just sculpt out my face. And what I also like to do is take a little bit of product and dust it along my jawline to add a little bit more definition and just sculpt out my face. Alright, just a little bit. You don't need a lot. Make sure you blend as well in that area. And I'll take a little bit more and go around the edges of my forehead. We're just, you know, we're adding some definition to the face right now. Adding kind of bronzing and just really shading and kind of sculpting out our face. So now it's time for highlighting, and I always use this palette for highlighting and I really like it. It's the Anastasia Beverly Hills Glow Kit in Gleam. Really great palette, comes with 4 highlighters, and as you can tell, this shade Crushed Pearl is my favorite. I love like silver highlighters. Has a little bit of a pink tone to it, but it goes so well with my skin tone. But as you can see, different ones, some of them are too dark for me, which is sad, but I'll have to get over it. But I like to use Crushed Pearl, and I take a little bit on my nose and I put it on the edge of my nose. I just love to do this. I don't know. I don't know why I like to do it, but I'm a highlighting loving girl, so I love add a little bit of highlight wherever I can. And just on the bottom half of my bridge of my nose. Okay, so for highlighting, we're gonna highlight the cheekbones now, and this is just going to add a little bit of shimmer to your face and just add a little bit of light to it and a little bit of shimmer. Now, some people don't like a full-on highlight, but I do. I use the Eco Tools Deluxe Fan Brush, and I'll take a little bit of this. A little bit, who am I kidding? I'll take quite a bit of it. And where you want to highlight is like, you contour below your cheekbone, but you kind of want to do this on your cheekbone. So if you feel your cheekbone, kind of the upper half of it, like you want to kind of go on the higher side of it. You just want to kind of apply the highlight there. So contouring goes below, highlighting goes a little bit above. Even though I have oily skin, I love a glowy finish. I will use like something that has a little bit more of a matte finish for my foundation, but I like to add a little bit of highlighter to have some glowy skin. And these highlighters are so pigmented. I love these shades. So I just apply that and kind of go back, just kind of apply it from maybe about the apple of my cheek or the edge of it, and go upwards. Not all the way back towards my hairline, but a little bit, maybe stop here. And you just want to blend that out because your highlight can't be harsh either. You want to blend that out as well. Alright, so I like to contour my Cupid's bow, which if you don't know what that is the tip of your lip. And so I'll take maybe just an eyeshadow brush. It doesn't have to be anything specific, but any eyeshadow brush you have, just make sure it doesn't have a funky eyeshadow color on it. So I'm going to grab a little bit of Crushed Pearl, and I like to apply this on the tip of my lips. And I like a lot of it. I just like this because when you apply your lip product, it isn't going to cover it up. It won't cover up your highlight, but you just apply this a little bit above your lip on the edge of the Cupid's bow where the two tips of your lip kind of dip. Okay, so for blush, there are typically a few go-to shades I have, which I will share with you. Actually, all of them, but one are Milani blushes. This is the Milani Baked Blush in Luminoso. It all depends on what I have on my eyes and just what I'm feeling that day. Luminoso is a very glowy, peachy pink blush, which I will swatch for you. You can see, pretty peachy. It's a very gorgeous color. I think it's good for spring. And then there is, I actually broke the packaging, but there's Coralina, which is a baked blush from Milani, and this is it's like a shimmery, very pink blush. It's not as peachy, but a little bit more pink, and has a lot of more shimmer. So this right here, is Coralina, and this is Luminoso. So one is a little bit peachy, one's a little bit more pink. Now, here's another Milani blush, which is the Milani Rose Powder Blush, and this is in Romantic Rose. I love this blush for fall. It's a beautiful mauve blush. And I'll show you guys right here so you can see a little bit more mauve-y, and I love this so much. Okay, and then the final one, I have a lot of go-tos, but it all depends on what I'm feeling that day and what I have on my eyes. I really like this Hourglass Ambient Blush Palette, and the only one that they actually sell is this one called Incandescent Electra, which is my favorite out of the palette, and I just love this so much. For go-to looks, it's beautiful. It's like a light pastel pink, and I love it so much. It's just gorgeous. It's very glowy right here, you can see. Very gorgeous. I love it so much. But today I think I'm going to go with Milani's Coralina, just because I'm wearing a little bit more like orange eyes. I want something a little peachy on the cheeks, so I'm going to apply that, and I usually use a Real Techniques tapered blush brush. It's very fluffy and it doesn't pick up a lot of product, so it's pretty easy to just swipe it on your cheeks and you're done with blush. So nothing too dense, so it won't pack on a lot of product, but this is a good glowy blush. Apply that on the apples of the cheeks. Okay, so now I'm going to take my beauty blender, and what I like to do, sometimes I go a little overboard with blush and I like to just soften it. So I'm going to take the round end of my beauty blender. I'm not grabbing any extra product, but I'm just kind of tapping over it, and I'm also going to go over my highlight and contour to make sure those all blend together, and make sure that it's not very harsh. I don't go over it like with a lot of pressure, but just softly tap the beauty blender over it to make sure that nothing's too harsh. So next it's time to dust off our translucent powder. I like to use the contouring and highlighting brush from the Kumadori collection. It's very fluffy and it's just good for dusting off any extra translucent powder, even though that's not really what it's made for, but hey, whatever. So I'm going to dust that off underneath my eyes. Alright, I think we got that all off. So that is basically it. I'm going to go finish off the rest of my makeup, and alright guys, that completes it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope this video was beneficial to you, and I hope that I gave you some good maybe product recommendations and tips on foundation. And of course, I thought it would be fun to just show you guys what my, go-to flawless full coverage foundation routine was, because, in the fall, that's usually when the glam looks start coming out, and I thought it'd just be the perfect time. So if you've been looking for a good full coverage foundation, then hopefully I gave you some good recommendations and for products overall. So I do hope you guys enjoy, and I thank you so much for watching. Please do not forget to subscribe. It would make my day, and also follow me on Instagram. I'm at Madison Lee Artistry. So I hope you all have a fabulous day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you guys in my next video. Bye guys.